や幸せいろいろあるがお前の優しい真心が俺の心の拠り所二人の優しい真心は二人の心の拠り所二人の優しい真心は二人の心の拠り所
We released this song as a single,
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
but it didn't sell at all. We were hoping to get into the Kohaku singing competition, but the real Enka-style song like this, it always gets popular later after the release of the film, you know?
Well, what about this year's Kohaku competition?
Oh, I don't know. It was a good song, though.
If you're a Miike maniac, please learn this song in Japanese.
Yeah, please sing along. Sing it at home and enjoy.
That's right, at home. Or
Karaoke.
karaoke. Yeah.
Tired after singing, aren't you?
Yeah, this is a musical film.
So it has been about a year and a half. Did you shoot this film?
Yeah. Recently, I went back to Yatsugatake, where we shot the last scene of this film.
Was it a location shoot for the film?
Yeah. And it looks totally different, even just a year later.
I heard that Americans think you look like a hip-hop street kid.
Yeah, I guess I look like a kid to them. But my hairstyle here is punch perm, underneath my hat here. I bet that term punch perm doesn't make much sense in English. It's a typical Japanese mafia hairstyle. Not that I'm a mafia myself, Yakuza, but I get irritated a bit, so I shaved half my eyebrows off here too. In Japan, there's this game popular right now called Oyaji Gari. It's where the kids, high school kids, go around attacking old men in the streets. It's big in Japan. So anyway, I try not to look like an old man.
You were in a Thai film as an actor.
Yeah, it was a film for Christopher Doyle.
Was your current appearance for that character you were playing?
Yeah, exactly. It's a Yakuza look.
Oh, it's a Yakuza part.
Yeah, he asked me if I'd do it, and my role wasn't really crucial to the plot or anything. He just asked me if I wanted to be in it, and I had a film project to do at that time, but...
So you canceled your original project to do this film, the role?
No, it got canceled actually, so the timing was good.
You've been in some films as an actor. Your own films and others.
I'm not sure you can really call that acting, though. And it's not like they're expecting me to do any acting. They say, go ahead and act badly if you want. They just want me to be myself. It's called being in the movie, but I myself don't think of this as acting. I feel that it is an experiencing a different side of filmmaking. It's like I'm always on the other side of the camera, so this time I'm able to see things differently when I'm in front of it. I just, I like being on set. Everything amuses me in the filmmaking location. I've even been the rain machine operator. That made my hands cold. Just trying to do things properly and concentrate on the task at hand makes me feel it's interesting and challenging work. It's like there are so many moments when you focus for these processes that look useless, a waste of filmmaking. But it reminds me. It makes me realize how much I like making a film and being on set.
I've been watching you on a set, and you show the actors how you want them to perform at first. And after all, your acting seems to be the best of them all.
Not at all. Explaining it to an actor is one thing, and actually doing it on cue in front of the camera are two different things.
That's true.
First of all, even if my acting was excellent, my acting wouldn't have any real value at all. Somebody has to have an attraction to acting, and to be chosen. Even if I am in a film, it's not like I'm out there competing with the other actors. No, somebody like that wouldn't be able to do it. It's no fun for me if I have to act with the pressure of acting. It becomes hard work. It's no fun.
So other directors want your persona in their films anyway.
Yeah, I guess so. But not as a character, really. That persona, or rather, perceived persona, is a little mismatched, I feel. If I'm going to be acting, I think a different role is better for me. I wouldn't want people to confuse me with the character that I'm playing. I mean, if I'm really going to be acting, I'd rather be playing a character other than myself. If I'm being directed in a shot, I'm not usually the person who comes and goes in the middle of a shoot. So to involve myself in a different part of filmmaking is very comfortable for me. A little while ago, for 10 days, I was in Thailand. I experienced filmmaking with Heineken because of the cameraman.
Heineken, you mean the beer? The brand of beer?
Oh yeah, he's just drinking all the time.
So the cameraman was drinking while he worked. Christopher Doyle's camera work was influenced by beer.
Yeah, I mean, it just so happens that alcohol changes or creates something when normal people drink it. However, for him, alcohol is like filling that one thing that is missing. And it's not changing anything for him. It's the same for us as when we go out and eat and drink.
Yeah.
He's much more calm and rational when he's drinking. It's like an animal.
He sounds like an alcoholic.
Yeah, in Japan we'd say that.
From an American perspective, you've kept making films without any breaks for years, to the point of overlapping projects, some films, while other films are being released.
Yeah. Basically, our system is a little bit different. I think our schedule cycles and budget cycles, production cycles, is very uniquely a Japanese style. So I don't think that I can make the same number of films, the same amount of films overseas. I don't think so. I enjoy directing movies. I'm doing this because directing amuses me. There's no reason for me to say no to any projects that come my way. Some people might say this theme is not whatever, something like that, but I think there are two different themes. The theme which is shown superficially at first, and then another theme shown by the film based on the first theme. The theme has the screenwriter and original writer's thoughts, and these thoughts are usually blended into a screenplay. And a producer says, with this screenplay, I want to make this film in such a way, and we work on it after that, and our work begins with deciding the direction of the movie, using the producer's ideas as well as the screenplay. So I'd really like to try something like that. Why not? Why say no? I mean, for example, I'd love to make a love story. In terms of genre, not just movies, I'd also like to try directing a little bit of everything. TV dramas, music videos, anything from, my own films, audition, and the happiness of the katakuri's. In terms of genre, people categorized Audition as a horror film. I mean, it's just a result within a system. I think the genre is created as a way to give information to somebody. So, whether they say, is the katakuri's a comedy Or is it a family movie?
いやこれはミュージカル。
ミュージカルですね。
This is a musical.
Yeah.
自分としては
I mean, I don't have any feelings attached to a particular theme or genre on the surface. For myself, I'd rather just make something kind of like, hey, this is different. And when I shoot that way, I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I'm interested to see what we can make from what we can do to change something.
変わってどんなものが生まれてくるのかっていうのにすごくまあ失敗も怖くない。
I'm not afraid of making mistakes. And first of all, my expectations make me wonder why I can be a director in the first place.
一本作ってそれがみんなにボロクソ言われて誰
I'm
も
okay with making a film that everybody talks shit about, saying that I can't be a director any longer.
やってられる
I can't be a director today just to keep being a director tomorrow again. It's too tight for me. It's like making a film with a fear of whether the film would be a big hit or not.
作業は窮屈で嫌だな。要はこう楽しければ
I'd rather feel like I'm having a good time right now.
いいなっていうふうに思ってる。
That's good enough for me. That's all I want.
仕事の数がね増えてる。
That's why my body of work gets larger.
ただまあそれは自分の問題じゃなくて
It's not my fault.
プロデューサーの問題
It's pretty much of a producer's problem.
忙しいって言ってんのにやろう。
Even if I say I'm busy, they're like, "Be busy? Can we do this?"
そう言われると
He's like, "Let's do it." And I say, "It's impossible."
やってみるとほら忙しい。
And the producer says, "But let's do it." And I
でも
say,
なんか忙しいそういう
"All right, okay, so if you say so."
でしか
And I
生まれ
say,
て
"I see, I told you so. I'm busy."
あるだろうし映画の作り方は
I think there are some elements that only a busy schedule could create. There's no manual for filmmaking. It's just if you work like this type of director makes a certain type of film.
それがどういうふうに
And I'm not sure what's going to happen.
なってくるのかっていうまあだからある日突然
One day I might just get tired of making films and finally take a break after a while.
っていうか疲れちゃって
Usually, directors would make their own production companies in Japan, and their filmmaking includes collecting a budget with a central focus on the production company. Do you think this will happen to you in the future?
っていうか自主制作ですよね。あんま
Well,
り
these are indie films.
大き
I'm
な
not looking for the big picture.
ことは望んでないのでそれは DV で表現できちゃう
Who knows, I might be able to do one on DV.
なんか通話の問題とは違う
But I don't think that's what normally happens.
ただ今はねすごく時代劇
These days, I am interested in making a jidaigeki, a period film, or making a film with somebody from overseas.
の現場の環境を全部変えてみたいんで
Basically, I want to change all of my surroundings, filmmaking environment.
知らない人間たちと
I'd like to see what I could create with people I don't even know,
が混じり合うと
to merge our different sensibilities.
今だから日本でも
These days in Japan, there are people
昔の撮影
like us, the old studio types in the Japanese film industry. And
京都の東映の
I'm also interested
東映の撮
in
影
an old staff from Kyoto and the Toei studios in Kyoto as well.
入り込んでていろいろ打ち合わせをしたり
Feel very warm and cozy blending in with them and having meetings, and then we
気
shoot.
持ちいいんですよねそれとそこからまだまだこう
And I can see the possibility of the pieces of the shots that have been shot and not completed yet.
絵を見てる
I
と
can feel the possibilities of myself as
自
well.
分自身は可能性を感じるんですよねなんかやれるかもしれない
Like I can do something.
周りをちょっと変えたいという
So you'd like to change the filmmaking environment
まあ
around
でも飽
you.
きますよ
Yeah.
ねというか惰性になっちゃうというかね
うん
Everybody needs that, otherwise they get tired, or it'll become force of habit.
惰性になるほど余裕
Yeah, I'm
があ
not
る
sure
わ
if
け
it's
じゃ
a
ないん
force
です
of habit. But I haven't gotten to the point that I can say it's a
飽き
force
る
of
と
habit.
かっていう表現っていうのは
飽き
何本
飽き
I
ても
don't
暇も
get
ない
sick of it.
You don't have time to get sick of it.
いや
毎カット例えば同じ
I
台本
mean,
でやって
even if
も
we use the same script for every shoot,
天候が違ったりとか
I mean, the weather may change from the previous day, or my actor or one of the crew or somebody's condition is different,
体温が1度高ければ
or if the wardrobe crew's temperature is higher by a single degree, that affects something about the film in some way.
そう人間がより集まって作ってるんで
something about the film would surely be different because a film is ultimately made by a group of people.
違いを感じた時に
And it makes me feel happy and jovial when I feel the
楽
differences.
しくなっちゃうんです嬉しくなっちゃうんですよ
In American movies, independent films, you can see the direction they're heading is similar. If it's a Hollywood movie, they have a complete model from the first place and they make a film towards that model. That's why there's so many boring films these days.
やってるうちにやっぱかなりそれを
Yeah, maybe it's too much to
感
keep
じ
in
つけない
sight.
っていうか
But because their scale is large,
スケールが大きい分
if it only shifts, you know,
結果が全然
1
違う
degree in one
よ
direction,
り
it leads it to a completely different direction.
変化に富んだ
In that sense, I imagine their filmmaking is full of variety. But there are differences between the skill of keeping an eye on the big filmmaking studios and life as a director.
自分は自分の
I simply do it my way. It's not that I try to protect
今
my way or anything
も
like
ちろん
that.
取り出してから
Now, I've made
50何
over
本か
50 films.
その都度やっぱりスタイルは
And my style has been changing.
その自分の変
And
化
I need the studios, the crews, and the actors' strengths and skills to change myself.
人の
You made over 50 films, and it's only been 6 or 7 years since your debut. Wow.
そうですね
Yeah.
テレビのシリーズなんか
Yeah,
も
that's right. And if you include the 1-hour TV series as one, there are over 50 films.
でも数える人によってちょっと
But
違い
it depends on classification. It could change the count slightly.
いろいろ妙なものもやってますからね
Yeah, you did pretty weird stuff before also. You did the feature for the planned
村の人が
boost in the development of a small town.
映画関係者じゃない
Yeah, I like that. All of a sudden, these people who are not from the film industry
映像を作ろうと思う
showed up from the village and asked me to direct a feature for their town.
なんでこの人
I felt like, why are these people putting their fate into my hands?
なんか嬉しくない
But that made me feel very happy.
でもなんかやっぱり縁が
Somehow we were linked by
ただ
fate.
道でばったりまあ出くわすそれも縁なのかもわかんないんですけ
I
ど
mean, not like bumping into someone on the street, but
作ろうとして
that's fate as well.
監
But
督を選ぼう
there's a reason why they came to me when they were looking for a director.
誰かにアドバイスを
Perhaps somebody gave them advice and recommended me.
とあるいはその地方自治体
That place was the location on my birth certificate. My
自分の
father or
本
grandfather,
籍地だったなんで
neither of them was living in the town.
で
But my birth certificate was from their town, and they asked me.
暮らしたことのない本籍地なんですで
九州の熊本
The town Kumamoto in Kyushu.
で日本東京で
Yeah,
脚
and
本家を集
I
め
was looking for writers in Tokyo, and I found somebody from that town.
何かやっぱりこう出会う以上は
I think that somehow there are some implications of fate
自
with
分の
these
生まれる
people
前
who
な
I
のかも
work
わかん
with.
ないんですけど何かの関わりがあ
It
る
might be very small.
それに逆らえないんですよねなんか
It might be before I was born, but I feel kind of scared to choose against what may be my fate.
なんて運命を否定すると
I can't contradict my fate
それしかないので
because it's the only thing I
あなた
have.
はなぜ今監督
If somebody asks, why are you a director now?
何か自分で変えたっていう記憶がないし
I don't remember ever changing course. I'd wonder why.
そので
I never changed something
今
or-
勝ち取ったとか
I've just built up my career. It's not like I had a game plan to be a director and here I am, or I am in the middle of it.
じゃないんですけど
It's not really like that. I'm not a believer in fate, but I can't contradict it.
のだけが
That's why I'm not afraid to make mistakes.
なんか
Even if something happens to free me from
ひ
responsibility,
どいことが起こると
even if something terrible happens, but that makes me feel something good is going to be coming.
結局最後は
After all, in the end, life will end sadly when death actually
実生
happens.
活でそうなった時にもうほらなんかこう
If I exaggerate, it's like a vicarious
死んでい
death.
くための疑似体験っていうかそれに向かってどんどん自分で折り合いをつけてるというかどうなってもほらこういう
The more I exaggerate in my films, the more I can vicariously experience
それ
death.
は役者が演じながら感
I
じ
try to reach agreements towards death. In any circumstance, I would like to say this landscape,
人にやらせて客観的に見ることができてで
From
誰の気持ちの中でも
third person point of view, actors play those things and they're feeling certain feelings at that moment.
薄れゆく意識の中でこの人
So
何見て
I
る
just let the actors play and I can see them from the
そこは
outside,
丁寧には描かない
and I can look at through the different characters' feelings in that moment.
ただなんか自分にとって現場ってそういう
Just like, how does this character see things? Or
だからどうも
what is
あ
this
んまり
character
前向きに
looking at while he's losing consciousness?
あんまり人生を
But I don't direct films with those kinds of details.
できないなんか
Basically, my work is where I'm thinking
自
those
分に
things.
とってリアルな
I can't make a film without a positive outlook. I can't praise life. So my films are exactly how I feel about life. Very real stuff.
どうしてもあのまま幸せのまんま本は終わるんですけど
This film, The Katakuris, is the same. It ends happily in the book, but I changed the end with the grandfather's sudden death. So after the grandfather's sudden death, the family felt that he'd lived a long and happy life, and they supported that as
人の
well.
人生を自分の人生
Watching somebody else's life
死んだ時に
and identifying with that as
観
their
客も
own.
だからちょっとナレーションでぽっくり死にました
After the narration states that the grandfather died, the audience feels that he had had a pretty good life.
優しさはぽっくり死んだっていう
The sudden death is a kind way to
自分
express
は
it.
眠ったつもりなんだけど
He thought of it as falling asleep, but that was death.
交通事故でね
It's not harsh like a car accident or something.
こう手に
He was given life and completed it.
一応まあ
I wanted to add that part.
なんかそれで
You have to be satisfied with that. He had a good, extravagant life.
それで十分それでも贅沢なことなんです
I talked to the screenwriter about it, and we
そう
added
いう
it.
のをどうしても付け加えたくなっちゃう
I shot the grandchild's very first close-up shot when the grandfather dies.
時には入れてもらって
Up until that
まあ
point, she was there, but she wasn't really in the scene. The camera didn't really follow her,
娘の
and she was in a lot of long shots.
それまでは全然
She stays after Mr. Tamba, the grandfather, as he
聞い
dies.
てしか撮ってないんですけど初めてなんか
With her
おじいさんが
smiling little face, her grandpa's flowing inside of her. I mean, treading in those places.
タンバさん
She has a great big smile on her
娘の中に
That kid, she's a funny girl.
入れ替わってるっていう
She was smiling even at the first wardrobe checking.
笑う子なんで
I wanted to use that smile for this film. Everybody has their own judgment for how wonderful life is.
僕なんかの
Some people
作品は
think life is a sad
そういう
thing.
こと
It doesn't matter how you feel about life.
と描いてるわけ
But still, everyone dies sometime. There's
物語
death for
上は
everyone.
強調しては描かないんです
I
けど
don't try to emphasize that death in
普通
stories.
に生きて何か話してる時の背景
You
に
can see it in my films.
死が
My films don't represent death,
か描
but
く
there's
必要は
always death even in the background. Somebody who's just talking.
極力避けてはいるんですけど
I try to avoid this because death is always there without being sketched on film. I've been making Yakuza films. I don't shoot so much the dead bodies even after the characters die in my
生き
films.
てる人を追ってる
I'm not following a
たまにそ
character.
の人が動く
I'm following the characters who live. And if the dead body spasms a little bit, I include this in the cut too.
どうも
I feel awkward to focus and shoot a dead body.
死んだ瞬
The
間
moment they die, they pass on
生きてる
or stay to become something else
タイ
that's
プを
still
撮
alive.
ってるとか
Of course, their shapes are all gone.
However, my dead body was shown in this movie. Of course, I know the dead body was rebirth again.
僕のスタイルを映ってる
Yeah.
ただまああれも
なんていうんですかね
生き返るもんね
そう死んで
Yeah,
も
there are
死ん
some
でない
people who
人が
died
い
but
ます
couldn't reconcile their own death.
あの
However, in the case of Shiota, after he died, he looked very similar to before when he was alive. So it really didn't matter.
You're right.
っていうのが
Maybe it's different from the death that we're discussing right
違う
now.
のかも
Well, I think it depends on the viewer, but you can see the base of the Miike film flowing through all of your films. If you look on the surface, these are many different genres. So if you were following the story only, you wouldn't see it.
違うものを撮ってるんで
やっぱり
You know, the characters in my films don't talk about that consciously,
怖いんで
or there's no story about only
誰
that.
もそうなんでしょうけどだから
But because it seems I'm afraid of death after all,
なんか
I think
た
everybody
だな
is.
ぜか今我々は
I
ど
don't
こで
know
教
where
えら
we'd
れた
learn this, but dying is
怖いん
scary.
ですよ
And I wonder how I can make it a
も
little
う少し
easier.
楽に
If we change the image or idea of death, we'd be able to see our lives in a different color.
生きてる間が違った
This
色に見え
death,
て
which film deals with, is a tragedy.
特に映画で扱
And
う
there
シーン
are
っていうのは
tears too.
やっぱ悲劇なんですよね。やっぱそこには
Tears of sadness.
涙があるんです。
But tears are beautiful. I don't discourage crying. And if you're sad, it's natural to cry.
もちろん
But I hope
泣いて
that
も
the tears are clear and without
悲しければ
regret.
泣くもんなんだろうけど、多分その死とかについては、俺子供の頃からは
death. I think that information that we see is influenced by movies and television from childhood. It's an especially common trend to portray nuclear families now, even in Japan. It's very rare to live together with your grandparents like the Katakuris in Japan. People don't have that much experience with living family members dying. Even if you hear that grandfather died, he's somewhat of a virtual personality to the kids. We'll maybe see him once or twice a year. So death is getting less and less common in everyday life. That's why I feel it's too sad or harsh when I experience this in movies and novels. Myself, then I wonder how can I show or represent death differently?
For whatever reason you shoot a film, you always capture the theme of life and death. I think this part is the most interesting part of Miike films.
Yeah, I think there's no way not to make a film without that theme. Even the crew is getting closer to death every minute while we're making the films.
If I speak mythically, it's Eros and Tartaros. And if I speak commercially, it's sex and violence. But in your films, I think violence is emphasized more.
If I were female, I'd do more sex scenes perhaps, but I don't feel comfortable shooting them. Like, I have to shoot with a beautiful actress and an actor. At the very moment when I'd think, oh, she is beautiful, then I'd start to get jealous of the actor. And that's no fun. I don't want to feel any unpleasant feelings at work. I think sex is not something for showing, it's something for experience.
Besides that, sex is always there with death. I think it's shown enough in your films. Nobody's asking you to make porn films.
I would like to make films bereft of sex, more and more. I'd like to use a story which is not attractive enough to make into a film, or which nobody cares about. So then the people watching would be like, it's fun, but there's nothing staying in my mind about it. And I think it's okay for the theme of a film to be as simple as that. Just pure entertainment. I might be able to leave something to the audience's imagination. Or it may be really unnecessary to leave anything.
I heard that some people were talking to you from the American film industry.
Yeah, we just had meetings, that's all. Introductions. I was still coming just to introduce myself and show them my stuff. I talked to them and said, let's do something in the future. But basically the system is totally different. And I'm wondering why they want me. It's one weakness of us filmmakers in Japan. But we have a very passive attitude. There are many people who have talent try to go worldwide. Some of them want to succeed in Hollywood. And maybe some people are big fans of Hollywood films. And you can learn and get your career there and go back to where you're from. And using that experience, you make your own surroundings better for your filmmaking. So you make new films which have your own style and taste. I think there's something to be said for people who want to go through the Hollywood system for just that. I think there are lots of people like that. Whichever or whatever situation is, you have to perform actively for yourself and find out your own talent. And it's there. And you find a project or a producer, or the timing just happens to match up, and when you're going towards the direction where you think your talent is taking you, it clicks maybe once for thousands of possibilities. Clicks just like that. And if it clicks finally like that, it's very strong. But it's very rare to happen like that. It's 1 in 1,000. In my case, I don't feel my timing is clicked yet. It's still loose and flexible. Since I feel that way, I can just go in there and do anything I want. And if somebody could just step forward, maybe I wouldn't be here. I'm already 42 years old. And when I find an interesting Hollywood movie, it's usually from somebody who's in their late 20s or early 30s. That's around the age that directors create a hallmark, their own vision. These films they make during their career, they can't make better films even if they stay in the same place and make a film the same way. Anyway, everybody has a different purpose in film. So people get success and get old in their own way. Some people try to find a way to be a producer. But I've just been watching it from the outside. If I look inside, maybe it's a very different operation than what I think. Maybe, people have their own various dramas and struggles. But from that struggle, the film itself is born. It's an extreme environment.
In the USA, people seem to be, well, more aggressive than the Japanese. They're more like, I'll do it, yeah, I'll do it. It's kind of hard if you're not aggressive enough. There's a good part and a bad part of it.
Yeah, I think Hollywood seems to be a very open-minded place. And I don't believe that there are particular people who should have success in Hollywood. Anybody can do it. Actually, those who have success in Hollywood, they turn things around and get their positions. In some sort of way, a handicap makes them stronger. For example, somebody, their race, or speaking a foreign language, or just having a different sensitivity, different sensibility. They use this to their advantage. They use this gap and create interesting stuff. And the people who really fit in Hollywood, these people can't create fun stuff because they fit into the system too well, and the system controls them. But that's not in our world. I can handle it or anything. I'm making a film small and neatly and unadventurously in Japan. If I had a chance, I'd like to make films with people from other countries. I'd enjoy making a film with certain control for change also.
You're not talking about going to the US and making an American movie or a Japanese